What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I wanted to address a topic that goes around the select manosphere or the alpha manosphere a lot, and that's the subject of validation. And the major question that arises out of this conversation, in my opinion, is what does validation mean to a high value man, or who can validate a high value man? So before going into this, I want to give just some background and a couple definitions so that we're all on the same page when I make that reference to high value man. So in my opinion, first you have the select man, who is physically, financially, and socially attractive to most women. Then you have the master of the universe, who is an elevated man of means, who can also be a captain of industry, a jet setter. Examples would be like a United States senator, a CEO, a mogul. I had a YouTube questioner ask me what the status of Jay-Z would be. And I had to think about it at first because, you know, Jay-Z isn't known for being the most attractive man, so he's not necessarily an ASP or an alpha showpiece. However, he does have the status and he does have the realm and command in his world. So ultimately, I would classify him as a master of the universe because he can make things happen on a large scale. And basically, beyond the looks and popularity, masters of the universe are the invisible hands. And what I mean by that is when you attain a level of master of the universe and a status to whereas you can make large things move behind the scenes, then you've truly ascended to that position. The greatest superpower that you can have is invisibility. Now that is high tech. That is high level game right there that I definitely go into on the Patreon side more so than the YouTube side. But just for the sake of definition, I'm going to leave that here. Then there are technicians. Now in my world, technicians move globally outside of the limelight and are not exclusively in the shadows of the shadow world. So they have the ability to move in and out of multiple worlds. And that's why, in my opinion, technicians are the optimal operative. That's if you're able to ascend to the status of technician, then that means that the sky isn't even the limit, in my opinion. You're able to operate on a global scale. However, you have the mindset that can have you running a small town or running a mom and pop shop with purpose. So all my technician and journeyman operatives, take notes. I'll link examples of technicians that I've done videos on already here on YouTube, but basically they embody the best of all three worlds of not only the select man, not only the master of the universe, but also the ASP, which is alpha showpiece, or the USP, which is ugly sexy player. So to get back on track with this particular post, I'm going to give you a big background of validation in my world, in my personal experience. So coming up, I played every single sport there is in public schools and also suburban schools. So, well, actually, and also private school, now that I think about it. Baseball, basketball, football, track, I threw discus, I did some tennis. I actually teach tennis now, as you know, and I'm a personal trainer. But coming up, beyond playing all of these sports, I was also on the chess team. I was on debate. I also was in the science club. I did science fairs, spelling bee, all of those academic pursuits that you can do at the grammar school and high school level. And I distinctly remember that when I would have a competition, whether it be a basketball game or a football game, my mother would show up to maybe the first 2 or 3 games, and I would always look for her. And when I would score points or get a rebound or do something significant, she would applaud. And after the game, we'd be at home, and I would always wait for this one moment. Whether it would be a baseball game, football game, or whatever, or an academic competition or science fair, I would always, come home with a trophy and ask and wait for this particular moment from my mother. The moment where she would say, "I'm proud of you." And in that moment, everything seemed right. Everything felt like it was the way it was supposed to be. In that moment, I felt a sense of validation. However, in that moment, I was still a child, thinking child's thoughts, thinking and viewing life from the perspective of a child. And fast forward, there was a time where we were moving around a lot, and my mother was more so focused on needs of the home in our immediate environment. I was still pursuing academics and athletic excellence, and there was a key moment where I had won something or I had achieved something, and just like the routine, I brought my trophy home and I showed it to my mother, and she said, "That's nice. We need to go grocery shopping. We need to do something," or blah, blah, blah. And in that moment, I felt like I was at a crossroads, because in that moment, I did not receive the validation that made all of these pursuits worthwhile up to that point. In that moment, something superseded my need to receive a pat on the head from my mother. And in that moment, I asked myself, why the fuck am I doing these things in the first place?